chances at the station were baked in the many hours back to Vegas. There is no evidence that the crime was committed, so Chance feels like his life's chapter is closed. It is unofficially that he's back in the force, but Chance is optimistic and eager to start his new chapter with Abby. Billy Abbott arrives at the cafe, but Mariah notes that they are closed. Before Billy left, he mentioned Faith hanging out in the park with some random girl who looked a little older. When Billy asked if Faith was allowed out so late, Faith put up a spell and wondered if he was going to write an account about it. After Mariah called Nick and updated him, she turned her attention back to Billy. Ever since Billy asked about Sharon Newman, Mariah admits her mother had some good results in the lab, though she wondered that all this concern was for Sharon and Faith when Billy published the article. Mariah argued that Billy didn't need to use Faith to establish what Adam Newman was. Billy didn't protect the innocent, and that made him just as bad as Adam in Mariah's book. Mariah wondered if Billy was polite enough to regret what he did. Billy had no intention of denying anyone, all he did was tell the truth, he claimed. Mariah understands why Billy hates Adam, and she hates Adam too. However, Mariah thinks that Billy is not the hero here. She added that he was just a scavenger picking up what Adam left behind after waking up. Faith then stays there and admits she doesn't hate Mariah for calling Nick. Mariah thinks that Faith probably had more freedom in boarding school, but right now Faith is at home, and they're worried about her. Nick wanted to bring Faith back to the Crimson Lights to apologize to Mariah, so Faith did. She also felt like Mariah had listened to too many real crime podcasts and worried too much. After Mariah left Nick locked up, Faith assumed Nick had a lot to say too. Nick claimed this was the first thing Faith did right and urged her to sit down. Back at the hotel, Amanda argued over whether she should call Devon. In the end she decided that he needed time and space to deal with this. Phyllis asked Amanda how to deal with all of this, but Amanda was sunk in a serious relationship with Nate. Amanda spoke again and again of Devon as a selfless, generous man. Someone with a big heart deserves to do better than this. As Amanda's words continued, she wondered if Elena and Nate really realized how well they had it. Devon was very supportive about the clinic and everything, but he suffered such a terrible betrayal. Amanda thinks that Elena spat in Devon's face and was selfish. In the end, she found herself acting as if the argument was over, but Phyllis was fine as she listened to Amanda venting her anger. When Amanda decided to go upstairs, Phyllis encouraged her to accept Devon's award because she would probably see him first. Amanda thought that Devon would even want it as it would just remind him of how the night ended, but she brought it with her. At home, Elena turned on the light and found Devon sitting alone in the dark. Elena says she went to the hospital with Nate, where she knew Nate had nerve damage in her hand. After Elena talked about how people made a mistake, she pleaded with Devon not to lock herself up. Devon just wants to know why Elena did it, with her cousin. When Devon asked if Elena would punish him for spending time with Amanda, she said of course not. Are you sure? Devon wondered. Yes. No, admitted Elena, confirming that Devon had done nothing to deserve. Elena was only afraid of losing Devon, but he did not understand because he had told her many times that she was the only person he wanted. Devon wondered if he'd ever made Elena happy and if she truly loved him. Elena insists she will spend every day making up for Devon. She cried as she pleaded with Devon to tell her what to do, how he would forgive her. Nate sat on the floor, grabbing his bleeding hand after Devon had punched him. Phyllis called an ambulance when Amanda entered and asked what had happened. With Nate, Elena tells Nate that she cannot keep their secrets, and she asks him not to hate her for telling Devon. When she was about to follow Nate to the hospital, she saw Amanda and asked if Amanda wanted to go with Nate since someone should go with him. Not all of them have to go, Amanda said. She asks what Elena means about what happened between her and Nate, but she insists this is not the time or place for that conversation. However, Amanda understood. She warns Elena to be ready to tell the truth because Nate clearly has feelings for her. Amanda believes that Elena and Nate respect Devon more. Elena leaves. Phyllis told Amanda that the cut on Nate was bad, and she wondered if it would affect his surgery. Amanda asked Phyllis if she saw what happened. Phyllis tells her that Devon punched Nate. She believes that something has been difficult for him because Devon does not like to do it. Phyllis realized that Amanda knew exactly what happened. Phyllis says that as her friend Amanda is obligated to tell her. Amanda reminded Phyllis that Nate had left her, and she noticed how Nate looked at Elena. Phyllis thinks that Nate and Elena are just friends, but Amanda says they are more than that. Amanda thinks that Elena and Nate are not the only ones to blame. She blamed herself for spending so much time with Devon. Phyllis said that Amanda's relationship with Devon had nothing to do with Elena and Nate's carelessness. Amanda asked Phyllis if she should call Devon but immediately decided that Devon needed space. Worried, Phyllis asked Amanda how she handled the situation. Amanda says she's fine because she and Nate haven't really had a relationship yet. She says that Devon was betrayed by the woman he loved and that he didn't deserve what Nate and Elena did to him. Amanda told Phyllis she didn't know why Nate and Elena slept together, but she knew that Devon had given herself to Elena. He inspired her to complete her residency, he sponsored the clinic, and then, Elena spat on his face. Phyllis felt she and Amanda deserved a drink, but Amanda said she wanted to crawl into bed. As Amanda was about to leave, Phyllis asked Amanda to accept Devon's award and hand it over to him, as she would probably meet Devon before Phyllis did. After Amanda left, Phyllis received a call on her private line from a reporter asking her to comment on the Devon and Nate cases. Phyllis stated she did not comment. Faith sat at the table and exchanged instant messages with someone. She got up to leave, but Mariah stopped her and asked why Faith was there so late. Faith lied and said she was with a friend and Nick was coming to pick her up. Mariah said she left Nick shortly before, and he said he would be on his way home. She asked Faith to try again. Faith said Nick had asked her to call him when she was ready to go home and that he would come pick her up. Faith gives Mariah the phone and asks Mariah to call Nick to verify the information, but Mariah refuses and says she trusts Faith. Mariah told Faith that she understood that year Faith had to go through a lot, especially Sharon's cancer. Faith insists she's fine, but Mariah says it's okay. Faith says she is very happy that Sharon is on her way to recover from cancer. She thanks Mariah and leaves. Shortly after, Billy arrived. Mariah told him that the cafe was closed. Billy apologized and asked Mariah if she knew where Faith was. Mariah asks why and if Billy will meet her. Billy said that Faith was in Prime Minister's Park, talking to an elderly girl. He said he asked Faith if she should be out so late, but Faith activated her charm and asked him if he was going to write a note about her. Billy said he tried to call Nick, but Nick didn't pick up. Mariah called Nick and told him about Faith. Elena cried even louder when Devon went upstairs alone. She held herself and then sank to the floor. Young and the Restless revealed that Elena has many difficulties ahead, so stay tuned to Y&R. The Y&R channel is where you want to be. Young and the Restless most popular, updates and news, so check back often. The Young and the Restless revealed more dramas at the Grand Phoenix. On the ring, Nate Hastings thought he might have a tendon rupture. Something booming, Phyllis sure guessed, had happened, and she doubted Amanda knew what it was. When Elena joined the episode Young and the Restless on Wednesday, Amanda was distracted because Phyllis was worried about how bad the footage was. Phyllis licked Amanda about her unusual personality when Devon hit Nate like that. Amanda admits that Devon discovered something terrible, so Phyllis asked if she could be more specific. Amanda recounts how Nate kept pulling away before he broke everything. That was when Amanda realized how Nate was looking at Elena. Amanda insists that Elena and Nate are not just friends, and Devon explodes when she finds out. Phyllis confirmed in shock that she thought Elena and Devon were approaching the altar. Amanda talks about how much Devon loves Elena and talks about her as if she were a living saint, although she guessed he was wrong about it. Guess it's him, Phyllis added to the Y&R episode on Wednesday. Amanda worries that this won't happen if she doesn't spend time with Devon. Phyllis holds that Amanda is not responsible for what Nate and Elena did. If Devon was there, Phyllis thought he would say the same thing. He wrapped his bloody hand, injured from the fall Devon Hamilton inflicted with his punch. Elena Dawson ran to help Nate while Devon stomped on the spot. Phyllis Summers called an ambulance when Amanda Sinclair showed up and wondered what happened. Phyllis insists that Devon happened. Nate worries that he might faint, so he urges Elena to continue talking to him. She apologizes and pleads with Nate not to hate her, but feels she must tell Devon what they have done. When Elena said she couldn't keep it a secret, Amanda watched and listened nearby. Then, Amanda asked Elena, she admitted she was going to follow an ambulance to the hospital. You mean spy Nate? Amanda asked in surprise. You want to go? Elena wondered. Amanda didn't think it was her place, but she wondered if Elena thought it was hers. Elena argues that Nate is alone, so someone should be there with him. Amanda asks about Devon, but Elena does not know where he is and needs to deal with his injured Nate. When Amanda searched for information on what Elena and Nate had done, Elena didn't think it was the time or place to start this. Amanda notes that she's not the only one who wants to know what happened here. She confesses that Nate has become clear to her that Nate is in love with Elena. But I think you two respect Devon more than you really, interrupted Amanda as Elena stood there in silence. Well, I guess I have the answer for me, Amanda announced. At Crimson Lights, Faith Newman looked at the phone and the door as if she were waiting impatiently. After Faith's phone rang, she smiled and started walking out onto the field. Mariah Copeland urged Faith to freeze and be skeptical when Faith said her father would give her a ride. Mariah just saw Nick Newman at the party, and he said he was going straight home. So why don't we start over? Mariah said solemnly. Faith insists Nick is picking her up and offers to show Mariah her phone if she doesn't trust her. Mariah assures Faith that she does and feels Faith as an angel compared to her as a teenager. Mariah talks about how they all coped with the tsunami and always felt like they were waiting for the next wave to come. She would understand if Faith felt the need to show a brave face. Faith confirmed she was fine and ran outside, but Mariah was still worried. At the society, Abby Newman spoke to Devon about his award and complained about Dina Mergeron. Devon offers condolences, but he keeps things short. Devon doesn't really like to talk and needs a glass of wine. Abby looked surprised and probably knew something was going on. After Devon got the drink he wanted, Abby insisted it was a drink in the house. Devon apologized if he was rude before, but Abby promised not to worry. After Abby gives Devon some time alone, he remembers moments when Elena sinned, and when Nate asked Devon to let her go if he wanted to pursue Amanda. Devon quickly realizes Elena's confession and then punches Nate. Abby reappears and offers one last chance to have a friendly encounter, but Devon refuses to speak and leaves. Chancellor Chance arrives and approaches Abby, who quickly turns to the investigation Chance just went through.
Abby can even become a truly dependent couple. To Abby,